Let's quickly have a look at the Formula One Eifel Grand Prix, all set to start at the Nurburgring today. Now, this race is going to be really interesting. First of all, this race is being held at the Nurburgring for the first time since 2013. Now, only 7 out of the current crop of 20 drivers on the grid have previously raced at the Nurburgring. You know what the podium positions were in 2013 when the race last happened at this track? Sebastian Vettel in P1, Kimi Raikkonen in P2 and Roman Grosjean in P3. Yeah, you heard me right. Now, in all probability, we can say that that podium is not going to be repeated today, looking at where these drivers are with their respective teams and with their cars. So, let's quickly have a look at what happened in qualifying yesterday, and we'll talk about the race after that. I have my little notebook to help me with the results of yesterday. First of all, a 70-second front row lockout for the Mercedes team. Now, this wasn't a surprise for many because they have taken the front 2 rows in each qualifying of all the races that have held this season. But it wasn't Hamilton who took pole position. It was in fact Valtteri Bottas who takes his 3rd pole position of the season so far. Lewis Hamilton will start in 2nd position. Max Verstappen of Red Bull, at one point in time everyone thought that he had the car to take pole because he was at provisional pole at the end of the first runs in Q3, but the Mercedes driver pulled off a great second run in Q3 and took the first 2 positions, and Max Verstappen will now start in P3. Surprise, surprise for P4, it's Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. Now, this is a big surprise for the Scuderia Ferrari side because they haven't really done well in qualifying up and until this point in the season, and this time again it is just Leclerc and not Vettel who has taken his Ferrari to a respectable position on the grid. In this Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, Ferrari have brought in a number of small upgrades which the team is saying that is taking to the car in the right direction. Now, we'll see in the race how the car performs, because generally what is happening with Scuderia Ferrari SF1000 right now is that they have decent pace in qualifying on some tracks, but on the race day they completely tail off. But P4 is a very good result if you look at it right now, and Charles Leclerc will be looking to build on it today in the race. P5, Alex Albon, very good and strong qualifying from Alex again to be within touching distance of Max Verstappen. That is what his aim right now is. P6, P7 goes to the Renault boys, Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon, followed by Lando Norris, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz rounds up the top 10. Now, there is one more very interesting thing that happened in this race. That is in regards to Sergio Perez's Racing Point teammate. Lance Stroll was supposed to start this race, but he fell ill, and only hours before the qualifying started at the Nürburgring, Hülkenberg was called back. Now, he made it back to the circuit and had his COVID test and was only ready to be put inside the car just 90 minutes before the start of qualifying, which meant he didn't have enough practice in the new car. Since he last drove in Silverstone, the Racing Point car has also evolved with many upgrades coming in, so it was always going to be a very tough ask for him to make something out of that car in qualifying with no amount of practice. But he had a few laps around the circuit in Q1. Sadly, he couldn't make it out of Q1 and he will be starting the race in last position. But if anyone knows Hülkenberg, we know that he is a very fast learner and he will be looking forward to put some overtaking moves today in the race. Now, the Nürburgring is going to be a very interesting race because the first 2 practice sessions of this weekend were cancelled due to bad weather. So, which means the teams do not have enough data to build their strategy on. Usually what happens in free practice 1 and in free practice 2, teams do long stints on the racetrack to understand their car and what the car is doing, and built on that data the team makes the strategy for the race day. That data is not available with the teams. The drivers only did one practice session in FP3 yesterday morning before the qualifying, which is just a 1 hour free practice session, which means there is still not enough data for these drivers. So in that respect, it's going to be a very interesting race. And also the fact that today the Nurburgring is set to have some rain, especially just around the time when the race is scheduled to start. Now when you mix Germany and rain, you always get a beautiful result. Like last year at the German Grand Prix, where almost every driver spun on the track, and it gave us a very interesting and intriguing race. So let's hope that this race is also as interesting and as fun as last year's German Grand Prix. For the time being, let's gear up for 5:40 p.m. Indian Standard Time when the race will start, and let's go watch it and have some fun. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you guys again tomorrow with the result of the Eifel Grand Prix.